The most pressing challenge facing New York City is the critical shortage of shelter space. With over 13,000 new arrivals in a single day, the city's existing shelter system, already operating near capacity, is completely overwhelmed. Families are being separated, individuals are being turned away. The situation is dire, with many migrants forced to sleep on the streets or in overcrowded makeshift accommodations.
City officials are scrambling to find solutions, converting hotels, schools, and even armories into temporary shelters. However, these efforts are proving insufficient to meet the overwhelming demand. The lack of adequate shelter poses significant risks to the health and safety of these vulnerable individuals, exposing them to illness, exploitation, and the elements.
This crisis highlights the urgent need for increased federal funding to support emergency housing initiatives and expand the city's shelter capacity. The influx of migrants is not only straining New York City's shelter system, but also putting immense pressure on its healthcare and social service infrastructure. Many of these individuals arrive with complex medical needs, having endured arduous journeys and lacking access to proper health care. The sudden surge in patients is overwhelming hospitals and clinics, leading to longer wait times and stretching medical staff thin.
Similarly, social service agencies are struggling to keep up with the demand for essential services, such as food assistance, language interpretation, legal aid, and job training. The influx is exacerbating existing inequalities and placing a heavy burden on organizations already operating with limited resources.
This situation underscores the need for increased funding and support for these vital services to ensure that both newcomers and long-time residents have access to the care and resources they need. Amidst the challenges, the spirit of New York City shines through. Community organizations and volunteers have stepped up in extraordinary ways to provide support and comfort to the arriving migrants. Churches are offering meals and clothing, non-profits are providing legal aid and translation services. Residents are opening their homes, offering temporary shelter and a warm meal.
This outpouring of compassion and generosity is a testament to the city's values of diversity and inclusion. Volunteers are working tirelessly to welcome these newcomers, helping them navigate their new surroundings, access essential services, and rebuild their lives.
Their efforts provide a beacon of hope amidst the crisis, demonstrating the power of community and the resilience of the human spirit. The arrival of 13,000 migrants has ignited a fierce political debate, exposing the deep divisions over immigration policy in the United States. On one side, conservative lawmakers and pundits are condemning the influx, calling for stricter border control measures and blaming the Biden administration for encouraging illegal immigration. They argue that the city and the nation simply cannot afford to absorb such a large number of newcomers, citing concerns about the strain on resources and the potential for increased crime and social unrest. On the other side, progressives and immigrant rights advocates are calling for compassion and understanding. They argue that the United States has a moral obligation to provide refuge to those fleeing violence and persecution, emphasizing the economic and cultural contributions of immigrants throughout history. The debate over immigration is complex and emotionally charged, often overshadowing the human stories at the heart of the crisis. While immediate action is crucial to address the immediate needs of the arriving migrants, it is equally important to develop long-term solutions that address the root causes of this crisis. The influx of migrants to New York City is not an isolated incident, but rather a symptom of a larger global displacement crisis. Climate change, poverty, violence, and persecution are driving millions of people from their homes each year, seeking safety and opportunity elsewhere. Addressing this complex issue requires a multi-pronged approach that includes investing in sustainable development, promoting peace and security, and creating legal pathways for migration. It also demands a fundamental shift in perspective, recognizing that migration is not a problem to be solved, but rather a human phenomenon that requires a humane and compassionate response. Section 8, addressing the root causes, a global perspective on migration. The migrant crisis in New York City underscores the interconnectedness of our world and the need for a global perspective on migration. Many of the individuals arriving in the city are fleeing violence and poverty in Central America, driven by factors such as gang violence, political instability, and climate change. Addressing these root causes requires a concerted effort from the international community to promote peace, security, and economic development in these regions.
This includes providing humanitarian aid, supporting democratic institutions, and investing in sustainable development initiatives that create opportunities for people to build better lives in their home countries. It also requires addressing the impacts of climate change, which is increasingly displacing populations and exacerbating existing inequalities.
In development and diplomacy. Section 10. Investing in humanity, the moral imperative to act. The migrant crisis in New York City is not just a political issue, it is a moral imperative. These individuals, arriving at our doorstep seeking safety and opportunity, are human beings deserving of our compassion, respect, and support. Turning a blind eye to their plight is not an option.
We must remember that behind the statistics and headlines are real people with families, dreams, and aspirations. Investing in their well-being is not only the right thing to do, but also in our best interests. Immigrants have always been a source of strength and vitality for the United States, contributing to our economy, enriching our culture, and strengthening our social fabric.
Section 11. New York's resilience, a city's strength amidst crisis. The arrival of 13,000 migrants poses an unprecedented challenge for New York City, testing its resources, its infrastructure, and its values. Yet even in the face of adversity, the city's spirit of resilience and compassion shines through.
New Yorkers from all walks of life are coming together to support these newcomers, offering a helping hand, a warm meal, and a message of hope. This crisis, while daunting, is also an opportunity for the city to reaffirm its commitment to diversity, inclusion, and social justice. By embracing these values, New York can emerge from this challenge stronger and more united, demonstrating to the world that even in the face of adversity, the human spirit of compassion and resilience can prevail.